Wow, it is so nice to see all of you here for Mass. I'm grateful that you're here. Thanks for coming to worship God on this Lord's Day. It's the Sabbath day. It's Sunday for us. Tonight I'm going to do two things. I want to share with you a catechetical vision that we're going to be unrolling here at St. Paul's, and then break open this passage about God being among us where two or three are gathered. We're going to, here at St. Paul's, starting here really soon, we're going to be, all of us, trying to walk together the same path in terms of what we're focusing on as a parish, especially around our faith. We're going to have all of us, not just our children in religious education or our school or confirmation, but have all of us sort of beating the same drum. So that we're all moving and thinking about the same thing. We're going to take the Catechism of the Church, which has 4 pillars to it, and we're going to look at those over the next 4 years, one pillar at a time. Okay? I don't know if you know this or not, but the Catechism is written in 4, it's put together in 4 sections. The first section, which will be our first focus for the year, is the Creed. The Creed is what we believe. Like, what does it even mean to believe? And who is God? We say the Creed every time we gather on Sunday. The Creed is our constitution, so to speak. It's really important, and it outlines who God is and how we're saved and what it means to be a member of the church. And so the first part of the Catechism just nails down the Creed, what we believe. The second part of the Catechism addresses is, if we know who God is, how do we connect with God? Pillar 2 of the Catechism, the sacraments and liturgy. That's how we fundamentally connect with God, don't we? We connect with God through the sacraments, through the liturgy. And then that moves to part 3 of the Catechism, which is, now that I know who God is and how I'm saved, and I've connected to God through the sacraments and liturgy, how do I continue to grow in that? Pillar 3 is the spiritual life. What does it mean to have a spiritual life? How do we foster that? What does that look like? And so now that I'm somebody who knows God, I'm connected with God, I'm trying to nurture that life of God, part 4 is the moral life. What's it really look like to be a Christian out there in the world? That's going to be our focus over the next 4 years. So starting next month, you're going to start seeing things on the Creed. It's not like we're going to only talk about the Creed all year long. That's just going to be something that we're hitting on. Every second Sunday of the month, we preach about something that has to do with the Creed. We will have things in the flock note, materials in the back, suggested readings, suggested videos. And I just want to invite you, maybe if you're part of a 4th day group or a prayer group, and you want to do an opening prayer or reflection, try to keep that theme in mind. And we'll give you some ideas on how to do that. Does that make sense? But the idea is that we're all moving together somewhere. And at the end of the 4 years, if the bishop asks, hey, Father, what have you done in NEMP out there? Well, I'll tell you. We've gone, all of us together, through the Catechism in 4 years. Wow, it's not bad. That's what we're going to do. Sound good? Well, ready or not, that's what we're going to do, okay? And again, it's just going to be it's just going to be an overarching theme. We're still going to do all the normal First Communion stuff and things like that, but we're going to highlight that throughout the year, okay? Just be ready for that. The work's on our shoulders in terms of the church. We're going to present that to you. Can we just take a brief moment here to reflect upon Jesus' promise that wherever 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I will be with you. Can we just take a moment with that for a second? Jesus, in this gospel today, was outlining that all too real experience we've had when our brother or sister has sinned against us. What do you do when you've encountered that moment where you've been offended, you've been hurt, you've been wronged, been misunderstood, life is difficult, it's unfair, this isn't right? What do you do? And Jesus outlined that for us. How do we seek forgiveness and reconciliation? That's not the part I want to go into here. At the end of that whole little outline of how to forgive, Jesus says this: if any two or three of you agree on anything about what to pray, my Father will give it to you, because wherever 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I am. Do you realize, and I don't know if I've always realized this, but Jesus' promise to be with us and answer our prayer is in the context of forgiveness. His promise presence with us is in the context of our seeking reconciliation as a church. Did you catch that? He speaks to us as a church how to reconcile. And then he finishes that reconciling statement with, and I'll be with you. Wherever two or three are gathered in my name. Because didn't Jesus say, if your brother sins against you, go to him and him alone. That makes two of you. If he doesn't listen to two of you, then get somebody else. There's three. And wherever two or three are gathered in my name, there I am in the midst of you. And ask for what you need, and I'll be there to give it to you. Isn't that powerful? I've oftentimes thought that this promise of God hearing my prayers was, Lord, I really want powers like He-Man when I was a kid. Lord, I really want a new car. It's good to ask for things from God, but I think what Jesus was saying is that the prayers that God is guaranteed to answer are prayers for forgiveness and reconciliation. He's giving us a divine guarantee, a divine promise, a divine pledge that wherever two or three of you gather in my name, in this context of reconciliation, I promise you, I will be there in the midst of you, and I will grant to you what you are asking. Is there, I don't know where you at in your personal life right now. I think we all, if we just took a moment, faces start to come to our mind of people who we're not reconciled with. Faces and images start to come to mind of people who, wow, I think there's a little tension. Fine. That happens. That's life, huh? Christ has come among us. God, who is so good, has made the great journey from heaven and earth through the cross, the empty tomb to us to help us with that. He wants to come in the middle of that kind of sticky, tense-filled place. And He's promised that He will be right in the middle of that group when you get together. So when you get together to be reconciled, which we need to be, invite God there. Invite God there. And that's something that I don't always do. When I have that moment of confrontation with somebody, where we're going to reconcile, very rarely am I thinking to myself, or do I vocalize in a prayer, Jesus, will you please be among us? Will you work your great reconciliation here? Because Jesus came to reconcile us. And when you and I enter into the work of reconciliation, you can count on it 100% that Jesus Christ will be with you, and He will grant you what you ask in that moment. I pray for you today, because that's hard work, isn't it? The work of reconciliation is hard work. It's hard work. In fact, it was so hard that God even died to accomplish it. So may God's peace be upon you. May you be emboldened with courage to enter into that great gift of reconciliation. And it's a lot easier to do when you know that Jesus is going to be with you as a promise. So let's go and be a church who reconciles. Let's be a people who seek reconciliation. Doesn't the world need that right now? I mean, doesn't the world need people who are actively seeking reconciliation? I think the message of the gospel is as relevant now as it will ever be. to reconcile hearts and for God's presence to be made manifest in that great moment of healing. God bless you all in your mission to go reconcile.